Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I don't really usually do these type of videos, but I'm going to make an exception today. I usually make films and I really don't really talk about myself and process and things like that. I just kind of create and let it flow from there. But I think it's important for society, this video on Out of This World Productions. How fortunate for leaders that men don't think. Do you know who said that? Adolf Hitler. It's because society didn't think for themselves. They let a man who used propaganda control their minds. And because they didn't think for themselves, they let Hitler and his regime murder over 6 million Jews. That's the power of propaganda. That is why you can't let propaganda control your mind. You have to think for yourself. And don't think that the patterns that Hitler displayed years ago don't exist today. They do. They're just more subtle. But you have to be aware of it. The character I'm going to talk about, or the human, let's give him some dignity, that I'm going to talk about today, is Michael Jackson. And there's been claims in a new documentary about abuse against children. The characters who are making these claims are Wade Robson and James Safechuck, if I'm correct. Let me just start, and I'll tell you why this story I'm going to tell you is important. I did meet Michael Jackson in Disneyland Paris years ago, about 1995. It was only for a brief moment, but he was kind of disguised. But you see, as a fan, I knew all the disguises. So basically, I brought attention to Michael Jackson. I only spoke to Michael Jackson briefly. And you see, the thing he said to me was, "Where's your parents?" Because I did sort of run away. And he kind of looked at me and was concerned. And eventually, my mother, auntie, and younger brother caught up. And all Michael did was smile. But I brought attention to him, and crowds started knowing then who it was. And I just apologised to him, and he smiled and just kind of looked at me as if to say that, there's always one that'll catch me out. Now, that was only a brief moment, and it kind of lasted 30 seconds to a minute at max. But one of the claims in this documentary was that Michael Jackson was, he had a whole network of people that would help him lure children, that there were more than him just behind this. Let me tell you, if he'd have wanted to, he could have took me away. He could have done. Because had he said, "Do you want to come back to the hotel or wherever?" As a fan at that age, I would have gone. Providing my mother let me. You see, I don't think my mother would let me just go with a stranger. But these people did, right? But I would have gone. But he never attempted that, and yet he had the opportunity. I was about, 12 at the time. He had ample opportunity. So that story, just bear that in mind when people talk about this network stuff and people behind helping Michael Jackson with this so-called abuse. It seems fabricated to me. Let's just say this. We have to also take into account that he is no longer here to defend himself. You can say anything about the dead because they can't talk for themselves, right? Just bear that in mind. Also, James Safechuck has stated in the past that Michael Jackson never did anything inappropriate to him. Wade Robson, he testified under oath in Michael Jackson's trial in 2005 that Michael Jackson never did anything appropriate to him. And for years and years and years has maintained that stance until now. it goes even further. Wade also did a tribute show with Janet Jackson, or tribute performance, at the MTV Music Awards. He then tried to get a job working for Michael Jackson's estate on the Cirque du Soleil show 1. He was beaten to that post apparently by Jamie King. Right? I'm very confused. By the time it gets to 2011 to 2013, why would you want to make tribute shows to the man that abused you? That is just strange to me. Also, he's either lying now or he was lying in court, lying under oath. Can you sit here today and look at me in the eyes, if you could, with a straight face, and tell me 110% that you believe what this guy is saying now? That he is not capable of lying. He's either done it before or he's doing it now. That is a fact. If you say to me for 1 second that there is no shred of doubt from Wade Robson and Safechuck, then I disagree. There is a lot of doubt. It is suspicious. These people are showing real holes in terms of credibility in what they are saying. Apparently in the documentary, and this is also telling for me, again, I've not seen it yet, but apparently in the documentary, it is graphic. But as you know, watch some of my films, I can make picking a cup up look scary. With camera angles, with the music playing in the background. That is my style. Documentaries, this is not a documentary, this is a film. It is completely one-sided. It is only their account. There is no one from Michael Jackson's side, i.e. associates, lawyers, etc., talking on his behalf. There is very little rebuttal apparently in this documentary. Don't you think that is cause for concern? That the media is talking so one-sidedly and buying into this stuff. Again, it's like Hitler's propaganda in my view. Right? I'm not telling you what to believe, but I'm saying this. Before you judge anything right now in this world, you have to research and then make a judgment from there. Don't let people think for you, because they will. Oh yes, they will. That is why the world has been in trouble for a long time. Michael Jackson's case here is just a small indictment of this kind of thing. Right? But getting back to the point, one of the most pivotal points, and as I said, it's graphic, but of course, it is made for shock value. They're not going to, if they are lying, right, they are not going to make it mild. They tried that stuff in 93 by just giving you minor details. They tried it in 2005. We didn't hear graphic details. Neither of those tactics worked. Now they're pulling out all the stops. But as I said, anybody can say anything. It does not make it true. Not necessarily. I could tell you, if I was insane, believing exactly what I'm saying, that there are purple elephants flying above my head right now. Doesn't make it true. You've got to search for the facts. That is the be end and all end. Only then can you judge someone. The mother, or one of the mothers in this documentary, says something along the lines of, when Michael Jackson died, the world cried, but I cheered. So that means she was aware in 2009 of the stuff her son, James Safechuck, claims. Well, if she knew what had happened while Michael Jackson was alive, why has she and her son decided to collaborate to make these claims now. And apparently, and this is where there are inconsistencies. See, when you're a liar, you have to have a good memory, because the truth just is what it is. You can't change it. There is no rebuttal against the truth. It's just a hard fact. But a lie, people need good memories. So she had the chance to say something during Michael Jackson's last months of his life, during the This Is It rehearsals, maybe before that. But apparently, James Safechuck only made these claims in 2013, and some people believe that he only told his mother during that period as well. So how did she know? If she was celebrating the death of a monster, fair enough. But how did she know he was a monster back then, when James is apparently only supposed to have said this stuff 4 or 5 years later? Do you see the inconsistencies? Right? Wade Robson. Apparently there's been claims that Michael Jackson used to turn his friends against women. Then why did Wade Robson date Michael Jackson's niece? Why did Michael Jackson allow him to date his niece? If Michael Jackson had such hatred for women and wanted his friends not to see women in a good light, why would Michael Jackson allow that relationship with his niece to flourish? Why? You're telling me he didn't have the power to remove the niece or Wade Robson away from each other? Of course he did, but he didn't. Big red flag right there. So, when you put all the dots together, when you add 4, the media is expecting you to come up with 12. Well, it's not 12. 4 add 4 is 8, if I've just come with the right analogy there. So, with all that said, I come back again with this. Can you say to me 100% that you believe these people? Forget the media. You see, the media have to sensationalize things. It's business. It sells papers. But in the trial in 2005, there are 12 ordinary human beings, people like me and you, that go to work, that live life, that sit there, read the evidence with common sense. And they didn't buy it. And for all those people saying he paid Jordan Chandler, I believe it was, $23 million, etc., that evidence was brought into the 2005 trial also. And they did not believe it. A judge and a jury, 13 people with no agenda, just there to judge a case, impartial, did not believe these claims. And I say it again, these people have got claims, but the facts side with Michael Jackson. He was cleared because it didn't add up. Judge Judy once said, if you've ever seen her program, if something doesn't make sense, beware. Beware. That is true. So when you take sensationalism out of it and you just look at court documents, the FBI also looked at Michael Jackson's life for 10 years. He would have been under a microscope. And yet still, they claimed they never found anything to suggest that he was a monster the way the media, again, is trying to paint him out to be. Oprah Winfrey apparently is talking about this situation, but you have to remember, Oprah Winfrey has been friends with a man who has had maybe up to 70 women claim they've been abused by him. Is Oprah Winfrey a credible person to be judging Michael Jackson when her friend, Harvey Weinstein, is majorly under the microscope, and yet she says nothing publicly about that? As I said, you put the dots together and we end up with something very, very confusing and something that really does not work. The credibility of it is like trying to staple jelly to the wall and expecting it to stay there. It just slides off. Because as I said, jelly is not meant to stick to the wall. You can't know without knowing that something happened and then later on down the line claim that you knew it at a different time. You either knew it then or you didn't. Again, the truth is rigid. The truth is not flexible. The truth does not change. As I said, I know the truth of the FBI. I know the outcome of the court. I know the facts of the payoffs. People may say that was murky with Jordan Chandler, but let me say this. Those that said he bought his way out of court, apparently that was a civil matter, not a criminal trial. That is different. There was no charges. Or they didn't press, it never went to a criminal showing. And apparently it wasn't on the verge of going to a criminal court situation. But let's just talk about the money issue. They took that money. People said that was a sign of Michael Jackson's guilt. Well, let's look at it this way. This is where the doubt comes in. They took the money, but they didn't seek justice. They took that money, and we've hardly heard from Jordan Chandler ever since. They took that money and hit the highway. Now, let me ask you this. Are you then credible if you'll take money over justice? I don't think you are. I think, again, it's murky. You think it's murky on Michael Jackson's side. It is murky on their side. So what I'm saying is, whatever you believe, can you say with 1,000% accuracy that this man was the monster that he's being made out to be? Me personally, I don't think so. If a young member of my family was taken advantage of like that, I would go to the ends of the earth for justice, and no money would deter me from that. And if I did take that money, trust me, that would mean that person, me, is suspicious. One kind of last thing, and we're going to wrap it up. Again, about the situation of this money. These individuals claim they are not being paid for this documentary. Do you know there are advertisements on Channel 4, advertisements on HBO, ratings? That brings in money. They have also got a donation page where apparently they're raising funds for victims. Do you know you just can't donate $5, $10, £5, £10? Oh no, this is the Vegas of donations, let's just say that. It's the Doncaster in London, the top hotel of donations. It starts from $250, $500, all the way up to £1,000. So they don't want a pound or a dollar. They want big bucks. Is it just me? Is that also not suspicious? Also, they say it's not about money. Why are they trying to sue the Michael Jackson estate for £1.2 billion? £1.2 billion sounds like money to me. I don't know about you, but it sounds like money to me. So you need to think about all of this. Again, there is no rebuttal from Michael Jackson's side, or hardly any, in this documentary. So unfortunately, people with common sense have got to do it. Because again, they are relying on those people that don't think, that Hitler spoke about. Don't be one of them. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm trying to direct you to use your own mind. When I make films, I direct your mind and you can follow that, but it's entertainment. But here we're talking about real life. And this documentary looks like a work of fiction. That's what I'm coming up with. Again, when I'm putting the dots together, I'm coming up with the word fiction. So consider all of this and just let it seep in. You will hear a word or two in this documentary which will make you feel disgusted, angry, emotional. But words are triggers. Sigmund Freud knew words can be a mechanism that can defend us, but also make us vulnerable. You have to be aware of these associations. Dan Reed is a filmmaker, the director. You're not telling me that he's not aware of this stuff. You say the right word at the right time with the right score playing, the right story told. No rebuttal, just one-sided bombardment equals impact. Immersion. I know this as a filmmaker. I'm sure many of you are aware of it. But please keep that in mind. They are going to throw all the stops in this documentary. But again, no matter how graphic, no matter how horrific, doesn't make it true. The Halloween movies are very horrific. But the guy that plays Michael Myers is not really a killer. So sometimes fiction is just that, fiction. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again.